Previously on episode 1 of Enough of You.
No, the reporting is quiet.
With America in a pandemic and near depression, Donald Trump raged and endured, and Republican Senator Rockwell Jansen was his staunchest ally.
I think everyone knows where I stand on this.
After Jansen disappeared from the spotlight, the stage was set for his triumphant return at a big Make America Reopen rally in Oklahoma City.
Everyone, Rockwell Jansen, folks.
But no one could foresee what was about to unfold on that bandstand. I'm Sarah Moreland, and this is Poddreams. This is the second and final episode of Enough of You. Episode 2. Wake up and smell the bullshit. Oklahoma Senator Rockwell Jansen emerged onto the stage. The crowd fell silent at what they saw. Not only did Jansen not stroll to the podium with his usual swagger, he shuffled like an old man. Even more baffling to the crowd and Trump, he was wearing a mask.
So he stands at the mic, and all we can see are his eyes darting around. It appears he's not going to remove the mask before he speaks. Nobody knew what the hell was going to happen.
After an eternity, the senator spoke into the microphone. Indeed, he did not remove his mask.
My fellow Americans, I, like you, dream of the day this great country of ours can open up.
His voice. It's a fraction of that $1 million drawl of his. We're like, whoa.
But I'm afraid that day is not today.
At this point in the video, you can see Trump looking at his cronies on the stage, baffled. Like everyone else, he's unsure of where this is going and what to do.
This country is proud. But we can also be too proud.
He's struggling for breath behind the mask. This gives Trump a chance to stand up and make for the mic.
That's enough. Let's get this guy off the stage. Nobody wants to hear this. Get him off the stage. That's enough.
And this is the moment frozen in time, the pivotal convergence of time and history, making a space in the thick mass of humanity for 3 words that would end a nightmare. With one hand, Jansen silences Trump. With the other, he pulls down his mask, swallows deeply, and makes history.
Let's get him off. Everyone get him off. Come here, let's go. That's enough.
You're damn right, it's enough. Enough of you.
Although the words were shocking, perhaps more shocking was the senator's pale, sickly face. In the 40 days since he was last seen, he looked like he'd aged 40 years.
Trump's standing there, his little mouth open but nothing spilling out. But then the craziest thing happens. You can see the blood flow into Rockwell's cheeks, and the lights go on behind his eyes as if he were a factory whose switch was being turned on. He pulls the microphone off the podium like the lead singer of a rock band or something, and he's just off to the races.
You are enough, sir. You are the problem. You are a liar, a thief, a cheat, a charlatan, a cruel fool.
Okay, now it is total bedlam. Trump's chasing after him like an angry uncle. And someone gets to the soundboard and pulls his audio feed, but remember, I'm the pool camera. I've got a straight line into my board. we get every single word until poor sick Rockwell is pretty much open field tackled off the bandstand.
We've been fooling the people too long. How any of them believe our lies is beyond my understanding. But we are killing our citizens, stealing their crumbs of bread. I'm paying for my sins, but you, Donald J. Trump, you are Satan. You are Satan, grabbing pussies and raping women. A 13-year-old girl, for the love of God, man. Doing Putin's devil work while you eat away at the very morality. The very morality of...
Rockwell is wrestled from the stage by the Secret Service, struggling, desperately trying to speak, while Trump bumbles at the mic. Before being thrown off the stage, Rockwell manages to spit out 2 more final iconic words.
That was something. You don't know what that was.
The truth!
Okay. We're going to open things up. Tremendous truth.
Jansen's entire rant, thanks to Connie Portman's pool feed tape, enjoyed perpetual repetition, so much so that most people could recite it word for word. Even Fox News ran it endlessly. Jansen released a breathtaking statement shortly after the event.
Thank you all for coming. I'm going to read a prepared statement, and I won't be taking any questions. I have been a homosexual my entire adult life. I likely contracted COVID because I am immunocompromised as a result of living with HIV for over a decade. I stand by my comments today, and I stand in raw shame at my own hypocrisy. There is no apology earnest enough to give to the people I have hurt, put at risk, and demeaned, nor is my excoriation of the LGBTQ community, who I publicly reviled while personally embraced, the slightest bit excusable. For the fragments left of my bully pulpit, I can only say that Donald Trump and his vile sycophants are a plague, and I count myself amongst that scourge. Trump is the dark disease that must be eradicated before science can go to work on the plague he deliberately let spread during his mission to desecrate a once great nation. From the bottom of my heart, I am sorry. Thank you all very much, and may God bless America.
Connie, this saga has made you a household name. What were you thinking when you watched him read that statement?
I thought, well, wow, finally, we have something resembling a hero.
Enough of You became a rallying cry for a hobbled nation. It became bumper stickers, campaign slogans, and a mantra. But more important than anything was its inertia. The change in Republican circles was subtle but significant. The Democratic base had been empowered.
It was the Emperor's New Clothes moment. Finally, political winds were shifting. Moscow Mitch was losing his grip on his own caucus. It wasn't that they'd suddenly grown a conscience, but things so seminally flipped after Enough of You that it became obvious that something had fundamentally changed.
Thin-skinned Trump was, of course, completely unable to pivot to anything but his coarse playbook of bigotry, name-calling, and lies. But the one thing Trump couldn't afford to do was alienate his allies at Fox News.
Listen to me, you're a shithead, and everyone knows it. No, Steve, you're not listening, Steve.
Yet in a series of tweets and vulgar, infantile meltdowns on Fox and Friends, Trump did just that.
Steve, shut the fuck up. Do you want me to end this?
He picked a fight with his own army.
Right now, Juicy, why don't you just go fuck yourself and Ainsley too? You are a cunt. A no-talent cunt. Mr. President.
He was unhinged. Lost it publicly like he never had before. Went unfair and seriously unbalanced.
No, I should fire you. I'm the one that gets you guys the ratings.
Fox was the one enemy he could not afford to make.
You need to go fuck yourself because clearly your wife is not gonna do it. And Ainsley, you are a talentless cunt.
Rockwell Jansen granted only one interview before he died, just 12 days after his fateful Enough of You speech. Unsurprisingly, that interview was with Connie Portman.
It was obvious he was not long for the world. Dead of summer and he's wearing a blanket. And the whole time he was holding the hand of the man he'd loved for 22 years. I mean, just the day before this interview, they'd gotten married. So, after your remarkable display of courage, what do you think the future holds for you?
Well, let's be honest here, darling. I don't think there is much future for me to hold on to.
You don't know that. People survive COVID.
Oh, well, be that as it may, please do not use my name and courage in the same stanza, Connie. I'm a coward who blew with a destructive foul wind when I could have proffered a life-giving breeze. I can't be redeemed, and I ask for no redemption. And the only redemption for this nation is the ouster of not only the worst president in the history of the United States, but the worst human I have ever met. Now, I promised myself I would not say his name again before I die. But I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about, don't you?
Rockwell Jansen got his wish. On November 3rd of 2020, Donald Trump was defeated so resoundingly that his cries of foul play and attempts to cling to power were short-lived.
I was just elated that Mitch McConnell, the only one in office who perhaps did more damage to this country than Trump himself, was also defeated in a squeaker. He is still reeling from the loss. You know, he still makes everyone he encounters call him the leader.
But McConnell is no longer the leader. Moscow Mitch and Barr are being called before Congress for their roles in the Ukraine cover-up. Trump himself will soon be in the hot seat for, among many other things, failure to execute his oath of office. Suffice it to say that the entire Trump cabal could well spend the rest of their lives, if not in jail, certainly then in court. As the COVID vaccine comes closer to production, President Biden and the two houses of Congress are working hard to return the federal government to top-down leadership. They have guaranteed that the vaccine will be free of charge to all Americans.
We've been ravaged, just razed to the ground. I'm not sure what normal is now or will ever be again. I just hope that we can rebuild from the ashes. And yes, I relish watching those wronged go after Trump without him having the protection of his office. If he tries to run, he's gonna run into a wall.
Connie, how important, really, do you think those three words, enough of you, are in the tide of history?
I mean, we had been waiting so desperately for someone on that side to do the right thing. It was an open field for heroes, man. A free ticket, a softball pitch to enter history. Mueller, Collins, Flake, Hell, even John Bolton. Hello, anyone. Just swing the bat. For the sweet love of God, please just swing that bat and show us what greatness can look like. And nothing. And then Rockwell did it. Enough of you! Better late than never, I say. Enough of you. Indeed.
Enough of You was written, directed, and edited by Scott Firestone for the original podcast, Poddreams. The role of Donald Trump was played by Zachary Story. John Henry Richardson played Senator Rockwell. Laura Faye Smith played the role of Connie Portman, and the role of the narrator was played by me, Haley Kewen. Enough of You is a work of fiction and a production of Poddreams. For more stories of aspiration and wish fulfillment, visit poddreams.com.
Poddreams, life rewritten. Poddreams, life rewritten. Poddreams, life.
Enough of you!
Enough of You was written, directed, and edited by Scott Firestone for the original podcast, Poddreams. The role of Donald Trump was played by Zachary Story. John Henry Richardson played Senator Rockwell. Laura Faye Smith played the role of Connie Portman, and the role of the narrator was played by me, Haley Kewen. Enough of You is a work of fiction and a production of Poddreams. For more stories of aspiration and wish fulfillment, visit poddreams.com.
Enough of you!
Enough of You was written, directed, and edited by Scott Firestone for the original podcast, Poddreams. The role of Donald Trump was played by Zachary Story. John Henry Richardson played Senator Rockwell. Laura Faye Smith played the role of Connie Portman, and the role of the narrator was played by me, Haley Kewen. Enough of You is a work of fiction and a production of Poddreams. For more stories of aspiration and wish fulfillment, visit poddreams.com.